instead of having two elevators, put an elevator in one simple spot like that, that would, so, that right. So, yeah. Good, you were looking up for me, and you shake my hand. Oh, no, thanks. That age?
Yeah, that age to be like 12. Yeah, go ahead, yeah. Hey, Marilyn, how are you?
Get somebody bring your snack.
I can ask Guy. Well, I'm not, this isn't my shop, this is Mark's, so let me ask somebody from Last time we'll
Right.
be over here by the podium.
Good evening. How nice to see such a great crowd of people here. And it looks like you are people who are all passionate about parks and recreation in Deltona. I cannot think of a better topic to spend a couple hours talking about than the wonderful assets that communities provide for their residents and for visitors. And so we're here tonight to talk about parks, recreation in the city of Deltona. My name is Marilyn Crotty. I'm the director of the Institute of Government at the University of Central Florida, and I've been engaged by the city to assist in facilitating this workshop tonight. How many of you came back in 2015 when the city initiated their strategic planning process and held a citizens workshop to talk about the future of Deltona? Anybody here at that session? Okay, a few of you. Well, I want to let you know, in case you didn't see, things have actually been happening as a result of that meeting. It was an opportunity for people in Deltona to get together to talk about the future that you desired. Your commissioners were there to listen to you, and then they met after that to devise a strategic plan that addressed many of the issues that you raised. So in the last year and a half or so, the city has been following this strategic plan, and they decided they needed more input on a couple of other areas. So about a month ago, we had a workshop on economic development that about 80 people showed up for, and tonight is for parks and recreation. So this is your evening. This is a time for you to share your ideas, your thoughts, your desires for what needs to happen in Deltona regarding parks and recreation for the next few years. I'm delighted that you have a lot of your elected officials here to listen to you tonight. So I want to introduce the Mayor, Masarczyk. We also have Vice Mayor Nabik, who's here, Commissioner Alcantara in the crowd, and Commissioner Sukup. Did I miss any other commissioners? Okay, they may be coming in as we move ahead. So this is a little different tonight because normally they sit up there and they talk at you and occasionally they listen to you. Tonight, they're here to listen only, to hear what all of you have to say about the future, particularly related to parks and recreation. So I'll go through the agenda after we have some opening presentations. We want to give everyone the background you need to be able to speak in relation to the strategic plan. So who better than the Community Development Director, Chris Boley, who will give you an update on the strategic plan and what is happening and will be happening in the city. So.
Thank you, Marilyn. My name is Chris Boley, the Planning and Development Services Director. And I was with Ms. Crotty when we did the strategic plan back in 2015 and the two sessions. And the whole point of that was to listen to you, to determine our needs and wants as a community, not sitting in a vacuum planning things and hoping that they work. So as she said, we broke this up into economic development and parks. And part of the process of the parks came about because we did a parks master plan. Now, this isn't the one that was done back in 2007, some time ago, of which many parks have been enhanced from that. But this is a decision about what level you go into for ecotourism and sports tourism, which is a big market, and what are the best needs and wants for Deltona. Is it more of a spectator sport where everyone sits in a stadium and watches some events, et cetera? Or is it more participation, watching your kids and you yourself be a part of a bigger event, such as soccer, softball, baseball, basketball, and other types of events? Or is it a combination of the two? And then from a land use perspective, you know, does it generate other types of uses like hotels, restaurants, et cetera? So as a summary, that's my role tonight of the strategic plan, where we are. is to let you know that, and there are some shaded areas up here. I'll go through that the commission and the community identified some strategic goals, and they are just generally fiscal issues, economic development, public safety, internal and external communication, infrastructure, and ongoing projects and priorities. So if you just follow along up here, the community spoke. We want a new community center, and that's been discussed for many years. So one is being built out on MLK Junior Boulevard, which is up near Fire Station 65 off of Howland Boulevard, and the walls are up, and it looks very nice today. Overall beautification grants. We are working with other agencies that offer awards and grants, such as FDOT, who's really spending a lot of time with Deltona to improve the Saxon interchange and adding over $750,000 worth of landscaping there. And also the same for State Road 472, which will occur, and a straightaway grant for us of $125,000 to bring that landscaping down from the interstate into the community past where Graves is, right there at the entrance. So that'll look really nice too. The Thornby Park Here project for ecotourism and enhancement of that property that we purchased some time ago. Transportation Capital Improvement Program, much like this, focused on capital improvement projects, not, whether there's a trash receptacle that's leaning over to one side, but more in a global setting, like what do we do as a city to budget for these improvements of the overall facility? Improvement to the existing community center down on Lakeshore Drive. The Veterans Museum, and to add some display area and some storage that's much needed out there. Other grants, as they may be approved by the commission from time to time. Economic development, we focused on Howland Boulevard as a gateway. Evidence today was one of the first events for the opening of Halifax Health Campus, which is just north of Howland Boulevard, and we just came from that today. And that's one of many that's underway out there, including the racetrack that opened and some others that are planned. Let's see, I don't want to be repetitive here, so let me see if I can skip down if I run into one that we already have done. Utilization, the best utilization of our resources. So do we create parallel efforts, or do we try to think in terms of teams where we are already partners to Team Volusia Economic Development Corporation? So we partnered with them to enhance our website, to enhance our leads, to send leads to the community, and use that resource that's already available to us in Volusia County. Pursue the creation of a CRA for Deltona Boulevard, which, believe it or not, that effort was started in the early 2000s. And I'm here to report that we have our first CRA in the city. We partnered with the county on that, and we will be establishing the trust fund this year and the appropriations with the property appraiser. So that's the last step, and we'll start meeting as a CRA board. Obtain master planning services, which we do, create more and diversified housing quality opportunities. Although you may look around and just see a lot of single-family detached residential, a lot of plans are approved with townhouses and some greater densities. Of course, the viability of providing for full utilities to serve that is much needed as well. To determine the business niche for the city. We talked about Team Volusia and coming up with slogans and logos to get people to come to Deltona, to attract, to relocate their businesses here based on not only the community where they work and where they live in close proximity to each other, and also to provide all of those supporting services with it. Working with existing businesses to grow, not just chasing after new leads and prospects to bring them into the city, but taking care of the businesses that are here and helping them expand as well. Filling in a lot of our vacant commercial space, which, as you know, has been occurring. If you look down on Deltona Boulevard where the old Winn-Dixie is for Crunch Fitness is just one example. Promote a customer service environment, trying to provide information to bring it out to the lobby and to have more openness and answering questions and spending more time to answer questions on technical issues like, building permits, et cetera. Review the relocation of existing facilities. We do have lots of properties in the city. The city is a large landowner inside of its own incorporated area. And how do you best use that land? Do you keep facilities in the locations that they are as the community grows around them, or do you consider relocation of that to other locations? You respect other developments that have occurred, like other residential projects, so you don't want to just necessarily relocate them to an area that already has new home construction. Talk to other officials in the county and staff, and we do that. We're active members of the Volusia League of Cities, and we attend summits, workshops, go to Tallahassee, work with lobbyists, and we try to keep our network open and large for the benefit of the city. Representative Santiago up in Tallahassee is fantastic, always working tirelessly for the city from afar. Provide a fire assessment cost-benefit analysis. Our public safety departments and the VCSO and the fire department do a fantastic job for the city, always looking at ways to save some cost efforts for its residents as well. Fund a demolition program for homes in disrepair. That is underway. I believe at count we have acquired 6 homes and demolished them, which affect your property value. So we've got that in mind as well to continue that program where feasible, where financially feasible. Continue to partnership with FDOT, which we're doing. Also, DOT invested over $110 million to expand State Road 415 to our east side, to widen it from 2 to 4 lanes. A lot of people don't know that. That's a huge capital investment that the city did not have to bear directly. Beautify our gateways and key locations. We have a sign contractor that we already selected. We also have on-call landscaping services that have been through procurement. You'll soon see 2 new gateway signs. We're working on a use permit with Volusia County for State Road 415 in Howland. Once that's obtained, we'll work at a new gateway sign at Normandy and Saxon, as well as State Road 415 in Howland, and we have the contractor already selected for that. Let's see, conduct a needs assessment for social services. We held 3 social service summits, which we held upstairs last year, which really led us to, it's a verification process, but we learned that the resources that are in place, like 211, are outstanding resources, and we need to utilize them more. Let's see, proactively contact agencies and review mailing lists. We do that often. Create a new branding slogan. We do that, and I'll let Jerry Mays input on that later. Solicit partnerships with businesses and schools. We're part of a committee with the Volusia County School Board to always look at co-location of space and talk about interlocal agreements and whether we're participating properly from an intergovernmental coordination effort. These are things behind the scenes you don't always see, but they do occur. Review the amphitheater agreement for Lionia Library, which we have reviewed and are negotiating with the county or renegotiating for that. Engage a consultant for parks master planning. We brought in a consultant from Louisiana, very experienced in the process of assessment, and that led to you here tonight. So that is going to look at our existing parks and how to better enhance them overall. One of the efforts that came out of that, just so you know, is that the city is a recipient of CDBG funds, Community Development Block Grant funds, and this is just a short list, but we've spent about $1.2 million currently on our existing parks out of CDBG, with another $800,000 planned for expenditure. Let's see, I'll wrap it up here. Preserve, increase in the city's water supply. We are active participants in water supply planning. Let's see if I left you behind on the slide here, but there we go. We're active participants in the city's water supply planning efforts regionally. This is a regional planning effort, so that as Deltona, which is about 8 times your neighbor consumer of regional water, we work well with others in doing that process. Include requirements for utilities for site plans for permitting and support a 0.5 cent to 1 cent sales tax for transportation projects We're always looking for ways to improve our roadway network, our utility expansion, and that you don't have to pay directly out of the general fund for it to look for cost-saving efforts for that. Expand the existing parks facility, which is why we're here tonight, and to partner with schools, the YMCA, Council on Aging, et cetera. Now, some of the ongoing projects that were identified that weren't necessarily attached to the above listed goals, to maintain a balanced budget, reserves, and investment, which the city is very good at doing that. We have an outstanding finance department that keeps us solvent. Support an emergency management plan, which, again, our public safety apparatus does a fantastic job for that. Continue to support the public safety education program plan to get out into the community and to encourage enlistment over time of those interested in going into public safety. Review the city's annexation policy, which we did, and we'll continue to always revise and update that. We talked about the Community Services Summit. Explore multimodal transportation opportunities. We just spoke to Votran about getting a new route along Howland Boulevard to serve some of this new development and growth in the community center that's going on out there. We talked about if the existing community center no longer serves the Council on Aging, how to relocate that line. And also, ultimately, and this may be a more longer-term goal, expanded and enhanced service to Sunrail over in DeBerry. The Trap and Release program was highly successful in Deltona, and that was a goal for spay and neutering. The Granicus implementation system, which helps us function internally better. Employee training, which everybody can always use. Health insurance alternate access, which saved us this past year about $600,000 in its analysis. Expanding special events, and city engagement and two-way communication. And, you know, we're here to tell you that we're always trying to listen and not be from afar, and to be part of you and you're part of us. So we exist for your service. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, the city is busy. There's lots of things going on in Deltona and lots of things planned for the future. So if Steve Moore, the Parks and Recreation Director, would come up and give you an update on the Parks Master Plan. Thanks, Steve.
All right, Steve couldn't make it tonight. My name is Mark Manning. I'm the Assistant Director. I'm going to give you a brief presentation on some of the things we've done in the last couple of years. I'm also going to go over the needs assessment we did a couple months ago, and then we're going to break it up into groups. So here we go. Starting in 2012, we started a process to replace tennis and basketball courts throughout the city. We started with basketball courts and tennis courts at West Cryle. I don't know if you guys go there. That's probably our busiest park. We completely redid both the tennis and basketball courts. We also added a gazebo at Thornby, a new playground at Harris Saxon, and we added irrigation well at Campbell and Veterans Memorial Park. In 2013, we started adding LED lighting at our facilities, and we are hopefully going to do that for our sports facilities as well. We renovated the main hall at the community center down on Lakeshore. We added LED lighting and parking to Tom Hoffman and the skate park. We also reconstructed the basketball courts at Dwight Hawkins and Firefighters, and as Chris said before, that was done with CBDG grant money. Those areas, we try to utilize those funding whenever we can. And we also replaced dugouts at a couple at Van Park and a couple at Dewey Boster for West Volusia Youth Baseball. 2014, we started installing video cameras at our main facilities. Dewey Boster, Veterans, Harris Saxon, that's not on the list, that was a mistake there, but Harris Saxon, West Cryle. We also reconstructed the basketball courts at the skate park. We installed fencing at Dwight Hawkins and West Cryle. I don't know if you guys have been by there. It's aluminum picket fence, black, looks very nice. And we did a new playground at Manny Rodriguez. In 2015, we installed a small playground at Lake Gleason. We renovated and added turf at Dewey Boster Baseball. That was the AAA field. If we have any West Volusia Youth Baseball people in here, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And that field, we took out the clay infield, made the infield all grass, and this year we just added clay baselines, which looks really nice. We took down the shuffleboard court at Campbell Park and built a brand new pavilion. You'll see that picture in a little bit. and we also reconstructed the basketball court at Campbell Park. In 2016, we continued to add LED lighting to all our facilities. We installed a new storage shed at West Crowd Park. We turf planed both Shea and True at DuPont Lakes, our softball facility, and we also did the softball and Little League fields at Van Park. We also added the aluminum picket fixing at Dewey Boster and a public address system. If any of you guys have been to one of our events out there like Spooktacular, you heard that last year. Very impressive. We also added fence to the baseball fields at Manny Rodriguez, and we lighted and fenced the new football field at Dwight Hawkins Park. This year at Veterans, we are going to add a storage facility for Veterans Memorial. At Manny Rodriguez, we are going to reconstruct the basketball court, and we have the outfield fence. Timber Ridge, we are also going to reconstruct the basketball court. Those two parks, Manny Rodriguez and Timber Ridge, those are going to be regulation courts for our outdoor facilities, 94 by 50. All of our other parks are a little less than that, but those two parks will be 94 by 50 regulation courts. So in case the next Air Jordan or LeBron is in the audience, hey, that's where you need to go. Dwight Hawkins Park, we are going to add a restroom facility there and an irrigation well to go with the phased-in plans for the new football field there. We're also going to add a pocket park at Montecito. It's very small for people in the neighborhood that want to come, go to the pavilion, swing on the playground, have a nice open green space. And at Dewey Boster, we are adding another field/parking area in the back where the old, on section line, it's a combination field and parking area for events. It's going to look very nice. That should be online sometime late in the summer. For 2018, some of the things we're planning on doing at Dwight Hawkins as part of the phase-in of the new football facility, we're going to add a parking area. Then we're going to clear the area to the, I want to say it's the east, I think it's the east, on the side off Overton where we're going to add, we're going to add bleachers, possibly a concession area and some storage space, but at least bleachers for sure. At Campbell Park, we are going to completely refurbish the boardwalk and the gazebo, hopefully add sports fields lighting to the field out there. At DuPont Lakes Park, we are planning on upgrading the sports lighting on Shea and True Field with LED lights and also add a new equipment room. And at Dewey Baseball, DuPont Lakes, and Van Park, we are hoping to replace some of the scoreboards that are reaching their length of service. As I mentioned earlier, we did a sports needs assessment a few months ago. Some of the analysis of that, one of the main things is that at a city of 85 to 90,000, almost 20 to 25,000 the population are children 18 and under. Think about that for a second. That's a lot. There's no other city in Volusia County that's even close to that. One of the things they found, what do we need? More facilities for children. That's a picture of Steve Moore right there on the rails for trail, waving to somebody going down there. As you see at the top, I don't know if you guys can see that, but if you can't see it, it's in your packet. If you got a packet, we need to find the synergy that build what's right for Deltona. Some of the takeaways from that needs assessment. Public recreation, that's a primary concern. Everybody wants to go to a nice park, have nice amenities. Everybody, that's a universal. Sports tourism, which Chris mentioned earlier, we do have a market for that, but that's a secondary need right now. Our primary need is to take care of our residents and their needs. That's why you guys are here tonight. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, facilities, recreation programs for who? For our youth, 20 to 25,000 kids, 18 and under. Public input for a comprehensive plan for capital improvement. That's why you guys are all here tonight. We thank you for coming. The previous picture of the connectivity for the trails. That's another area that we're seriously considering doing. We have the rails for trails down there off of Lakeshore, but we're seriously considering adding them throughout different areas of the city. And partnerships. Volusia County, YMCA, businesses, nonprofits. We partner a lot right now with our youth sports, Deltona Little League, Deltona Youth Soccer, Deltona Panthers, Deltona Wolves, but we're always open for other options as well. So the preliminary needs from that sports niche that I mentioned, rectilinear fields, what does that mean? More than one activity can place on that field. It doesn't just have to be a soccer field. It doesn't have to be a football field. It can do all sports. Connectivity, the trails, lakes, and nature. Tennis, we have the 4 tennis courts at West Cryle. We have 1 tennis court at Harris-Saxon, and we have 1 tennis court at Campbell Park. And what's big on the tennis thing now, and some of you might have heard of this, have you heard of pickleball? Does anybody know what pickleball is? All right, you probably want to, okay, good. Okay, but pickleball, that seems to be growing in popularity by leaps and bounds, so we might be doing one of those in the very near future. We need an entertainment venue. Right now we have the amphitheater, which is across the street, which we do our concert series, but we're looking for something that can hold a little bigger crowd, more indoors, outdoor type event. And then obviously, recreation center, gym, field house as center of a complex or park. We do have West Cryle Gym right now. I'm sure most everybody here has been inside West Cryle Gym. That is not a regulation facility. That's probably 3/4. So we're hopefully going to get one of those regulation-sized facilities here in the very near future. Here are a couple of pictures. This is Campbell Park. I mentioned we put a new pavilion out there. This is what it looked like before. That's the old shuffleboard court. I don't know if you guys can see that. There it is right there. That's a new pavilion we just did about 1.5 years ago. That gets rented every weekend without question. Dwight Hawkins, I mentioned we do on a football field, and we're phasing that in between a football field, lighting, parking, those type of things. There it is before. There's the football field itself with lights. I'm sure our friends at Deltona Wolves will be very happy about that. There's the other proposals going in, the parking lot next to it, and then clearing this side over here for bleachers, concession, and possibly storage. This is Dewey Boster, which I'm sure everybody here is familiar with. One of the big issues we had at Dewey Boster, and our soccer and football people can tell you this, vandalism. People, for whatever reason, see that green grass, and they want to drive on it. I don't know why, they just do. So what do? We put up aluminum picket fence. That seems to have eliminated that problem. Now they have to hop the fence and run around, which is fun. Manny Rodriguez, that's another facility where we've added lights. We're going to reconstruct the basketball court. Before, it was an open field. Now we've added a lighted baseball/softball field for practice. And that, believe it or not, that's helped with the inventory, because if you're part of the baseball organizations here, you know when practice times comes, you guys always go to West Cryle. You get 4 teams out there on the fields at West Cryle. Now we have this field right here, which has helped alleviate that problem at West Cryle, to where you can share this and schedule this and use this, and it's used Monday through Friday by both leagues. Van Park, this is an old shuffleboard court before, something we just, our commission approved not more than 6 months ago, I guess. We've added a community gardens. We think this is an added value to Van Park there. This will help with the clientele there by bringing these people in to do organic gardening. We think that's a win-win for Little League and for the Community Gardens Project. So if you're interested in that, you might want to go down on a Saturday. I do believe they do sell, I think it's on Saturday mornings down there, so you might want to go down there on Saturday. I don't see Jim. I thought I saw him earlier. Oh, there you are. He's right in front of me. Is it Saturday mornings you guys do the selling down there? Various. All right, well. They can get on the website. Go on the website, all right, and check with them. Okay. Now, I mentioned in the needs assessment, one of the things that was in the needs assessment is a gym, either a partnership or the city does it by itself. We need a regulation gym in this city. We have 20, 25,000 kids. We do not have that. I think we're probably the only city in Volusia County that doesn't have a regulation-sized gym. There are various locations that the needs assessment came up with. That's obviously something that we would need to discuss with our commission as we go forward. I mentioned the connectivity with the trails. These are some of the options that are being looked at right now. Some of them are on the drawing board, planning stages. Everybody loves a good trail to walk, ride your bike, do that kind of stuff. So we're hoping to get that done also. All right, that's it. I know it's a little after 6:30, so I think we might be a little behind, so I'll turn it over to Marilyn.
Okay, wow. Lots of nice things happening in Parks and Recreation and lots of opportunities. So now is your chance to weigh in on that. Before we do that, I want to introduce Commissioner Hertzberg arrived after we did the introductions, and I didn't introduce the city manager, Jane Shang. So if you don't know Jane, she's here this evening also to listen to you. So we have a larger group, I think, than was expected. Fabulous. Let me take you through what we're going to ask you to engage in now for the rest of the evening. If you have a name tag, which hopefully all of you do, there is a number on it. That assigns you to one of the small groups. We have set up in the back of the room 6 small groups. There may not be enough chairs there for all the people who have that number, so let's just pull in additional chairs and try to form as good of a circle as you can. If you do not have a name tag with a number on it, just after the groups start forming, find one that looks like could use some more folks and pull your chair up and join that group. Now, if you picked up one of the packets, and I think we ran out of those, on the packet, it gives you the questions and the topics that you're going to be talking about in your small groups. There are 3 questions, and if not everyone in the group has one of those, you can share the questions in the group. I need you to do a couple of things when you move into your groups. First of all, one of you in the group needs to volunteer to be the recorder. That means you're going to take that big marker and you're going to transcribe onto the flip charts the main points that are raised by your group. Not every word that everybody's saying, that wouldn't be possible. But when people raise, I like this about the parks in Deltona, you can write down in a few words the essence of what that person was saying. The only requirement for being a recorder is that your handwriting is pretty legible, because it's my job after this is all over to collect all of these sheets and write a report to give back to the city to share with you. And if it's chicken scratch, I'm not going to be able to read it to put that into the report. So fairly good handwriting is the first requirement. That doesn't mean you can't talk and add your ideas and thoughts to the issues that are being talked about in your group, and in fact, you're encouraged to do that. The second thing we need is, after each group completes talking about these 3 questions, we're going to have each group report back some of the main ideas that came out of your group, and we'll need a volunteer from each group to actually be the speaker for your group, the spokesperson. It doesn't have to be the person who was doing the writing, it could be somebody else. So when you get into your groups, we'll be looking for a volunteer to write and a volunteer to speak. Now, I will give you some warnings when it's time to move on to the next question. If you're still on the first one, we'll need you to move on so that you have time to talk about all 3 of these, and we have time to hear what all the groups were talking about. I'm going to ask that the people who are recording use a different piece of paper. At least you may have 3 or 4 for each of the items, but make it clear that you're on the second question or the third question, so that'll help me with the report. And one of the things you may have noticed already, but when you get in your groups, while we want you to do lots of brainstorming, and who knows what brainstorming is? Somebody tell me what brainstorming is. Share with the group. What's brainstorming all about? Sharing ideas. Okay, so we want to get as many ideas as possible out there. One thing that brainstorming is not is deciding, oh, I don't like that idea, or that's not going to work in Deltona. Eventually, we'll have to have those kinds of discussions, because obviously there's not money to do everything you'd like to do. But for tonight, we want to get all the ideas out there without eliminating any of them at this point. So just be very open and willing to share those thoughts and ideas. But after you do a lot of brainstorming and get a lot of ideas, I am going to ask, and it's on the list here, each group to pick your priorities. So while you may have 20 or 30 ideas about the things you'd like to see in Deltona Parks and Recreation, we're going to ask each group to agree upon what are the 3 most important. So leave time in your discussion to figure out what is the most important. And the last thing I want to say to you before you move to your groups is, I know there are people here who represent a very specific sport or park or neighborhood or age group. And while certainly we need to address the needs of the youth in Deltona, because that came out very strongly in the survey, I don't want you to forget that there are people of all ages in this community who do need parks and recreation, so don't discount activities and issues concerning that. And while baseball may be your thing, don't forget about soccer and football and basketball and all the other kinds of sports that would make this a very well-rounded program in the community. So there are some cookies and some bottles of water up here that you can avail yourselves of. And next, you just form yourself into the groups and start talking.
Very noisy, those groups. Do you want to spread them out? We could put like one up here.
as part of the question. Let me just make sure everyone understands. When you answer the first question, after you talk about the things you love the most about the Parks and Rec programs in Deltona, you need to identify out of that list that may be very long, which three are the most important things that the group feels are necessary, that you like. Okay, so put stars or check marks next to your top three. When you talk about the second question, which is the things that you don't currently have in the city that you need, and you'll also have a long list there, make sure that when you finish that discussion, you go back and identify the three most important things that the city should be providing that aren't currently there. And then, of course, the last one is just your ideas on things that you or your organizations or other entities could help with the programs.
Value, when it comes to value, bathroom, with storage.
What is currently lacking? So what is currently lacking? So let's do that. What do you think is, what is currently lacking?
So what is?
These were the three questions. A positive one, all the good stuff, the things that you don't have, that you'd like to have, and then about how people can help with it. Yeah.
You're going to be there,
The advance, yeah. Yeah. if you need another page, you can continue.
Oh boy, let her rip.
There we had 8 groups of 10, so I could tell. Here it's such a... From the side. Yeah, it's great for the kids. We've got You've got a young man here who wants to say something. It's hard in this group.
Festival Park is one of the parks that my organization goes out once a month and makes sure all the paper and buckets and stuff are picked up.
Hey, there's a young man here who would like to say something. He's had his hand up. Yeah.
It's not enough.
Not much security in
Yeah.
it.
You guys think security should be a
Yes. Yes. Not
You got
just
adequate security.
No, but I hear what you're saying. After a while, you want some, at least some type of response, either yeah or nay, if that makes sense.
I'm just telling him, I look at all these boards here.
We are in the field. We're the best. We know what's going on.
we're getting on.
John just told me that he had a phone call. He wants me to go on.
Yeah, just don't tear it off because I'll lose it. Just don't. Oh, you're doing that so that you can ask them which one?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to lose it if you tear it off. Okay.
I'm almost torn.
Yeah.
You have sticky notes?
Should
we just rewrite the top 3 we picked for you?
just put stars around. Oh, yeah, but I'm going to need all of them for the report, even though the top 3. But all right, somebody can hold it up and then just be sure it gets back in with the report. I see most of the groups are on the 3rd discussion item, and that's good. If you haven't yet identified your priorities on the 1st and 2nd, you need to do that. And then move on to the 3rd question.
You're going to need a copy of these sign-in sheets, correct?
City needs them.
Okay.
I think you need a whole lot more stations and smaller groups. Hardly anybody gets to talk.
This was not the plan. At the one we had last month, it had 8, and they were only 10 people in a group, and I arrived here and there were only 6, so they really didn't estimate the numbers. I mean, we could have filled the room with small groups.
Because I can't hear a single thing
I
that's being said
understand.
within a group.
Yeah, but you'll get the written report, and we're gonna have.
I can't put my input in, and I can't hear what others in the group are saying.
Well, we are going to have reports with a microphone from each group, and if you...
That doesn't help in filling that board.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. You know, if you want to go back into a group and just stand close to where the recorder is and get your input, try.
I wanted to just say something to you.
Yes.
I'm a master gardener. I work out of the Agricultural Center for Volusia County. And I had them write it in. There are 130 master gardeners in the Volusia County who volunteer. They're going to work on a project of beautifying the Fish Memorial Hospital.
Nice. Yeah.
they will do this
Oh,
here too.
good. Did you
They
put
would
that
do-
on for the
I wrote
volunteers?
it in that
Oh,
they
good.
need to ask them. You
Yes,
have to
how
ask.
wonderful. Yeah,
And
great
it's
idea.
free. And my two other things I have a problem with. I live near Dewey Brewster. When they have fireworks, one night we were going home and we got stuck right at the, and for over an hour, we sat right there, a half a block from my house because we couldn't leave the car. That way out, all the people, they blocked up Saxon Boulevard for almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. They don't stop and let some cars go. So you have an opportunity to make a U-turn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, wow.
make a turn.
Yeah.
And the park is great for the kids. What about us seniors?
Yeah.
I would love to have a gazebo,
Place you can go.
a garden where I could go and sit
Nice.
and read.
Okay.
We went over to Mims. They put a building there about smaller than this. They rent it out for weddings. People rent.
Well, the new community center is going to have,
Where?
go look at that picture.
For what part?
This is for the city. Go look at that's being built now. That's going to be a beautiful facility for meetings, weddings. Okay. If you're not yet on question 3, you should be on question 3. And if you've finished all of the questions, be sure that you identify someone who's going to speak for your group, because in about 10 minutes, we're going to move to the group reports. Did your group finish?
Yes, I'm just grabbing a soda.
Good.
Just ways individuals and organizations can partner with the city to enhance Deltona Parks and Recreation. Write a check, communication. Open communication.
More workshop, more group talk, group meetings. Yep, follow up, more workshops.
Who's going to be your speaker? Steph, okay, that's all right. Okay. So what are you doing with that?
How you doing?
What are you doing with that?
Oh, that's an old paper.
Okay, you
I
got
didn't
it.
want to mix it with this is a draft.
Yeah.
This is our actual one.
Okay, but I don't want to lose the whole big
Oh
list
yeah, you're
of
not going to lose the
things.
whole board.
Okay,
And then this is number 2 question,
right.
and number 3.
Okay, but we've got all the.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, has your group talked about the third question?
No, not yet.
We need to get to that. I think the other groups are finished. The third is ways you can volunteer. So that's what we need to get some input on that from your group.
I want to be on the dog park. I'm a dog.
That's a good one. Identify the businesses in the city.
So some of the other groups have talked about specific. Some of the other groups have talked about some specific organizations or groups that can actually do something, rather than these are very broad. Think about some specific. Are there some organizations in the city, in the area, that can be helpful? Try to get as specific as you can. Okay, you have just a few more minutes to finish up your discussion, and then we're going to have the reports. You go out those doors, and you continue on, and then you turn to the right, you'll find bathrooms. So do you have a volunteer spokesperson?
I guess it's going to be me.
Okay.
Excuse me. You know where the bathrooms are?
You go through that doorway and keep going a little bit, and then to the right.
We're going to use all of them, all six.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Good to see you.
Did you expect this turnout? It's crazy now.
Okay. I believe most of the groups, all of the groups have completed the work that I assigned you. And first of all, let me just comment. What a wonderful list of ideas. There is no shortage of things that are being done, can be done, how they should be done, and a lot of enthusiasm from all of the people here tonight. So I know the city is going to benefit a great deal from listening and hearing what you have identified. So if you could now all stop talking. We're going to have an opportunity to go to each group and hear the results of your discussions. So while you listen, be listening for some of the same things that maybe came out in your group, or ideas that you never even thought about that, gee, that's kind of a neat thing. So the way we're going to do this is we're just going to start with the first question, the things that you really value and appreciate and like about the current parks and recreation programs in the city of Deltona. And I'm going to ask the spokesperson from each group to give us a brief overview of the kinds of things you talked about, and then to tell us the three that you identified as the most valued, the most important, the things you like the most. And I'm going to start just going around the room by number, and then we'll reverse it for the second question, so you won't always have to go first. So the spokesperson from this group is... Okay, you get the microphone, introduce yourself, and share your ideas.
My name is Nathan. I'm with the...
Wait, got to get everybody's attention. Great. Okay.
My name's Nathan Johnson. I actually sit with the Parks and Recreation Board. A few things here. I don't know if I can turn this over really quick. Number one, we talked about identifying the three, I guess, criteria or things that we find that's attractive for the Parks and Recreation in the city of Deltona. The recreation, playgrounds, and bike and walk trails. I mean, we have a lot of people that seem to like that, at least in our group. Number two is the quality of the field services. They seem to be quite good. And then there's plenty of parks. We have, what, 23 parks, is that correct? So we have plenty of parks. So those are the three things that we've identified. And of course, this is barbecue picnic tables, don't worry about that. But those are the three that we identify that's a plus, a thumbs up to the city of Deltona, and a smiley face.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We're going to hold
sorry.
it with number one. Okay, group two, the spokesperson.
You want me to go?
Sure. Okay, do you have the, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, hi, my name's John. I'm with Deltona Youth Soccer Club. The items that we identified, we felt that the property is very well cared for. There's a couple of areas of improvement, of course, but we felt in general that very well cared for. The accessibility is great, as they said in the prior group, that we do have a lot of parks, and that our children and our families are lucky to have them. And there's a lot of diversity in our parks, and we'd like to see more of that, actually. We have football, baseball, soccer programs, and with the tennis courts, and we think that there's a lot of accessibility with those areas, too.
Okay, great. Okay. Here's the microphone.
I don't think Sue needs a mic.
I don't think
Oh,
she
yes,
needs the
she
mic.
does.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
There
she
we
does.
go.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sue. I've lived in Deltona for 20 some odd years. Been to mostly all these parks, but the positive things we spoke about was the lighting of the fields. Number two, the open spaces for our sports, and also hosting community events. I think we've gone a long way for that with our community coming together at the park here at Dewey Buster for 4th of July and so on. I think it's really cool. And well-maintained grasses and fields. That's number one.
Okay, well, you were back on.
Oh, well, we had a lot of things written
Yeah.
down, so there you go.
Okay, we're not going in order now. You're not next. Give me the
We're going to
microphone.
question 2 and 3?
No. We're going to the group over here. Right. So I can keep track of how to reverse it. Our spokesperson over here. The things you liked about the parks currently.
In our group, we decided that we value the time spent with our families at the parks. We value the lightings at our parks when we have them at night. And we also value the that we have quite a few parks in Deltona to choose from.
Okay, so you're beginning to hear some of the same things over and over again. We have lots of parks, that's good. The parks are well lit, that's good. And then a variety of other things that make these parks special places in Deltona. The spokesperson for Group 5.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm actually the current treasurer for West Volusia Youth Baseball. We came up with pretty much the same stuff. The number of parks that we have is obviously a value. The fact that there's bathrooms at all of them, that was our second choice. And the usability, that they're very, the kids can pretty much go anywhere. There's parks everywhere for them, so.
Great, okay. Well, it's good that somebody thought about those important things like restrooms, yeah.
All right, my name is Brandy. I run a group, Facebook, Deltona City on the Move. We looked at this a little bit differently. We looked at what we value most importantly. So we found that the size of parks was most important. But our top three is maintenance, diverse parks, and accessible parks. Diverse parks not only in sports, but also active versus passive was brought up. And that's about it for us.
Okay, well, I'm going to leave the microphone with you because you're going to start with the second question. Now, I know there's lots more ideas than just the top three that were identified by each group. So in the report, you'll see all of the ideas that you shared listed in the report, then, of course, with that identification of the most important. So let's go to question 2, which dealt with the things that are not provided, lacking, and I know some of this list got pretty long.
All right, so hand in hand with the importance of maintenance at the parks, we also found that there was a little bit of lack of maintenance, especially with cleanliness of the bathrooms, modernization of the equipment and whatnot. Our second one was equipment in areas like a disc golf or frisbee golf, kind of goes with the diversity. Picnic pavilions, trails, and bikes paths, adequate parking, cold fountains came from actually children requested cold fountains. And the communication to the public. One of the things that I found while sitting here speaking to everybody is that we're not exactly sure what is already in place or what is already available to the public. So a lot of our ideas, we had question marks because we weren't sure if that's something that's already available through the Parks and Rec. And lastly was properly trained staff and maintenance. We're not sure on the numbers if maybe we need more maintenance or staff or just more training on staff. So that was our top three.
Okay. All right, now we'll go back to group 5. What did you find lacking?
The same, our number one was the lack of diversity. Most of the parks are geared towards sports and children that are, let's just say 6 to 15. There's nothing for seniors, nothing for toddlers. So that was one of our biggest things is that, we could use some more splash pads. We could use some more, maybe even a community pool or something for seniors even that they could have like an exercise program or something. The second one was lack of maintenance, and that goes hand in hand with the parks, with Van Park and Dewey and everything that needs to be cleaned up around there. There's a lot. I had 3 pages. So I got lots of asterisks. And then our third one was the better relief from Dewey. If you stop the traffic to let the walkers go and holding traffic for an hour instead of letting 20 minutes worth to go and then let traffic go. So the better relief was our number 3 from Dewey.
So that was for mobility, yeah.
For mobility for the walkers.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, back to this group. Are you speaking again? On question number 2, things that were lacking.
All right, in our group, we chose the things that were lacking, we feel was most important, the field maintenance all across the board, all parks, working scoreboard, same thing with Dewey, Van Park, And we also felt that it was very important that we had a lack of support from the city with resolving issues and getting things done.
Okay. Okay, we'll announce, yeah, hold on to it. Okay. Your response to?
I'm ready, okay. Okay, in my mouth, okay. We had a lot, too, on our question number 2. So we kind of combined a lot of these to make 3 statements. Negativity needs improvement. Number 1 was more fields for sports, these open fields, plus the gathering space for families to have barbecue grills and the trails and so on, as other people said. The next thing was the kids' play area in these, like Dewey, Brewster, it's the only one I know. They need covering, shaded covering for the kids to play on these facilities, because it gets too hot, and there's no park without a kid, and it's too hot in the summer, so we need those. With cold water fountains everywhere and cleaner bathrooms for all the parks, not just one. And the next thing was safety. Safety went under a broad detail here. It was lightning detectors, which is very important, security cameras, which is, I guess, something that's going to be done. And we have a young man here and a young girl. We need benches with no nails or broken wood or sharp metal that will pinch these children, you know. And we need a trash detail. I mean, every park needs a trash detail. Everybody likes to throw their trash down, but that's
okay. Great. All right, this group, your needs.
Well, we definitely also had some concern from our baseball representatives here tonight, as far as the state of our dugouts, the sidewalks around, some safety issues, also some safety issues on the fields themselves, and I think this goes for all sports, not just baseball, but we don't want any ankle breakers out there. Bathroom conditions, batting cages, suggestions, field maintenance, holes, supplies, things like that. We also felt that updates to the parks, we're doing some great things for the parks themselves, but if we don't take care of those updates, that they tend to fall behind and fall into disrepair. And also on the parking side was our third item. During events themselves, so we have things going on at the fields or 4th of July celebrations, that we have parking issues at a lot of our parks. But also from the residential side, it was brought up that it also affects the community when we have things like letting out of Dewey after an event, and there's, you know, you have a lot of disarray kind of going on after events. So, and better access to the parks from those sides, like 2 access points for Dewey instead of just the 1.
Okay, so better traffic management.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. And group number 1, you're lacking issues.
Number 1, we have maintenance, really upkeep of the park. Some parks just need more upkeep than others. Number 2, it's been mentioned, I think, from over there, security cameras, safety issues, and certainly vandalism problems. And then number 3, there's not enough sport-specific fields other than soccer, splash pads, you know, in the bleachers, et cetera. They just want better bleachers. These are the 3 that we were talking about lacking.
Okay, and I'm going to let you move right on to the third one, which is, so what can we do about all of this? The city obviously can do something, but resources are not unlimited. And so are there creative ways to get others to help, to organize, to volunteer? And I think there's some great ideas coming out of these groups.
Let me try to read my own handwriting. I'm not a pharmacist. Number 1, concessions. I guess someone mentioned they want the process to be opened more. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but apparently it's only for a certain amount of people, so they want that to be open. Plus, one of the kids mentioned like a video arcade, you know, where you can have the kids sitting there and they can watch like different video screens, listening to different music, that type of thing. I don't know how that works, but we're in the 21st century. Work with the West Volusia Chamber. What kind of relationship do we have with the chamber? You know, I used to work in Port Orange, and they have everything all over the place, or in Ormond Beach, they have all these businesses. What kind of businesses are we getting? Now we're having Halifax is here, Florida Hospital's coming, I believe, in Central Florida, and certainly that's going to bring a lot more people. How are we really working with our local businesses? And how about with the big box people, you know, and also the opportunity for the 501c3s, or should I say charitable organizations, the nonprofits? How do we work with them to get them to, you know, work with the city for some kind of incentives? And then someone else mentioned better and effective communications between commissioners, the associations, and or board members. And what we're trying to say is, so if you're on the board of, let's say West Volusia Wolves, and he gave me an example. Give me the example really quick.
So, for example, you know, building a new football field, which is great. We already see some things that for a football game day that would have to change with that field, with the fence and other things. So, getting us involved on the front end to get our input as to how that field could actually be used by who you're building it for would help facilitate getting us out there quicker and getting it used.
And what I say here is commissioners and associations and board members, it's important that our elected officials, I know they're busy, but when they have the time to talk to associations and different people who have baseball leagues, football leagues, say, hey, this is how we like the football field if you can. Add 2 sets of bleachers over here, or how about here, what about this, and so forth and so on, just to get the input of those who are going to use the facilities more so. So those are kind of the ideas. And also, we have to think about Bethune-Cookman and also community college. They may start growing, and the kids may start using these fields as well, and that's something we have to keep in mind.
Great. Okay. Before I go on to the next group, somebody left a phone in one of the restrooms, and so if you are missing your phone, see me. Okay? All right.
Interesting, it wasn't one of our top 3, but we also had the same discussion over here about communication between the different clubs that are out there. At Dewey, we have, you know, football, soccer, and baseball, and a little bit better communication between the boards would probably help on that. We had a hard time coming up with the top 3, so we kind of mushed it together a little bit. But we have to somehow push for people to be volunteering and attending these meetings. This is a great turnout tonight, but at regular board meetings, we just don't see this. So it'd be nice to have more attendance and somehow better communication from the city so we can get people here. We felt community service was a big deal also, possibly some partnerships with local high schools because many of them are required for their Bright Future scholarships or whatever they're going on to have community service. So perhaps we can have high schoolers working for the city and earning their community service hours. Also sponsorships from area businesses, perhaps, to help support our Parks and Rec programs in the cities, and generally to try to get people more involved with the speak up and speak out type of mentality.
Great, good. Okay, great. Over here. Sue.
Okay, so this one I think is a little hard because of our community. It's a lot of people here, but yet we're a small community, you know? So open communication with follow-up and accountability was number 1. And number 2 was sponsorship and better advertising in our community. And that's, of course, that cost. So, you know, that's something that we really have to push with our businesses, which we, as number 3, we need to occur more business in Deltona. We need more restaurants or clothing stores or, you know, I mean, just things that people, you know, you can only get so much out of people. And we have a lot of sports here. This is my opinion. And everybody, they can't donate to everybody. They can't, you know, they'll lose money that way. So getting more business in our wonderful 90,000 plus people city would be fabulous. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
things in our group that we discussed, we thought we could improve on by getting more local businesses or local contractors to donate more to the parks, such as, shading and all these different things. There's a lot of businesses out there that want their names on things to get it out there. We also want more disability area access. And we also thought up of partnering with the city to do a group cleanup in the parks, do a cleanup day, something very easy that can go a very long way if everybody does their part.
Good. All right, group 5.
Yeah. We had a very good, the Volusia County Agriculture Center, they have master gardeners, like 130 of them, that would gladly volunteer to help beautify the city, is what we've been told. So, but you just have to ask.
Yeah.
So you have to ask.
Good idea.
To apply for ECHO grants and other grants that are available out there for different things. And community service, we touched on that too with the high schools, even Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, they're all looking to do community service. More police presence around things to make people safer so that they come out. And maybe have a different advisory group for each park or different diversities, like have one for seniors, one for kids, one for dogs, because we had a lot of dog park issues. And to diversify the use of the CDBG funds, and just like they were saying, to work with your local leagues, your boards, and if you can talk more, communication is the key to get it together.
Good. Okay. Last but certainly not least.
All right, so we pretty much mimic and mirror everything that we've heard out here already. One thing that did get brought up was communication with outside professional athletes. Somebody mentioned like the Vince Carter Foundation. I know Shaquille O'Neal does some community service stuff. Clinics and workshops, more communication with the public. Again, we think that there's probably some of these things we mentioned already in place and we just don't know about them. Adopt a park. We also mentioned the same thing for the city staff and commissioners to attend the games, talk to the people out there who actually use the fields. Maybe just show up during the day when families are out there. Some other things that got brought up was, again, sponsorships, local, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, the high schoolers. Affordability. I know back in the day there was a lot of city programs that had waivers, not so much anymore. So we were looking at things like the YMCA still does waivers. So maybe revisit partnerships with the YMCA, Boys, Girls Club, and mentorships. So we pretty much mimicked everything that we've already heard out here.
Okay, great. So lots of good ideas. I want to share just a thought or two with you, and then I'm going to let any of you here who maybe feel your voice wasn't heard or there's something that hasn't been mentioned to make some brief comments to the whole group and the elected officials who are here. But one of the things I want to say to you is I am so proud of Deltona. I've been working with this city for quite a few years, and they talk in our country and in our state and in this region about citizen apathy and people not, getting involved and not engaging. Well, Deltona certainly is not one of those cities. Look at the people who are here. Look at the diversity of the group. And most importantly, look at the young people, the children that are here, because if we don't get our kids engaged at these ages, there's not that much hope that they'll stay involved and engage as they grow up, hopefully in this community and stay in this community. So congrats to all the parents who brought your kids here. Congratulations to the kids who shared their ideas. They were speaking up in all of these groups, and that's really important because the future is all about them. And so how good to be able to hear from them. So I thank all of you for that. And now let me just ask, raise your hand if there's something you want to say that either hasn't been said, needs to be reiterated or strengthened, or your opinion on anything you've heard or what you didn't hear this evening. So yes.
Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to just shed some light on is activities and equipment, like play equipment for those that are disabled. We have very little of that here, and we do have children and young adults that are disabled that when they see other kids playing, they can't play. That, and I also want to reiterate too, the cleanliness of these bathrooms. They're horrible.
Okay. All right. Other comments that you want to raise? I'll get here and then I'll go back to you.
Is the city going to keep all the papers and all the notes so we could compare?
Yes. Yes, I am going to, actually it's me, I'm going to collect all of this paper. I'm going to write a report that the city will have within a couple of weeks. Hopefully they will share that report on the website. I think that's been their practice. And then it's up to the elected officials to take these ideas and the staff to put them into action and to implementation. Now, of course, not every idea that everyone has is going to end up happening. I think we all understand there are limited resources in this city as there are in every city, and mostly by that I mean dollars, and you're the ones who pay the bills, so the city has to understand, and from your input, what is most important and how to allocate those resources in the way that they get the most bang for the buck. But this kind of input is what helps make those decisions.
One of the things I was hoping to see in here is something about what we would like to see added. We have some lakefront property down there by Thornby Park, and the lakefront area that we have in the city is not being developed. Yes, we have a boat ramp, but we also have 1,000 foot of lakefront that can be developed and maybe have a fishing pier added in for the kids down there. That's a wonderful resource that's being underutilized within our city.
Okay. So the idea for additional parks, and particularly something that would focus on the lakefront and that whole idea, I think I did see on somebody's list fishing and a fishing pier, so a good idea. Other comments? Yes, sir.
Been here since 1983. And yeah, that's it. I'm sorry. I'm still not as, I've been here. I've played a lot of sports with some of the members, family members in here, and I've also worked beside some of them. What this community has had in the past, and I can tell you, like I mentioned in the group, in 1996, they had that big old, 96, 97, the city had their nice development of what they wanted to do for parks. Always have they said they were going to build a big complex. Well, I guess the big complex is Dewey Boster, and you get soccer fields. Softball, baseball are lacking. The fields that we have are inadequate. Flat out, they are inadequate. You see probably 35 to 50% between both leagues traveling outside this city because, whether it's travel or another league, because of the conditions of these fields, for one, and the availability of them for practices and other games and time-wise. We need to build a little bit bigger. For being the biggest city of 90,000 or 25,000 kids, there needs to be a bigger complex for those kids that do those sports. If you're at soccer, you get a whole bunch of fields in here. I mean, it's not hard really to find one of these 23 parks that we have. There's a big open field, put a couple goals on it, you got a field. I hate to say that and towards some of these ones, but I do like seeing some of these kids, and I don't want to, I'm trying to help out this gentleman, this little gentleman right here, because in 20 years, I don't want him to be in my position. I really don't. The city needs to start moving towards it. Thanks.
Okay. Another hand over here.
All right, guys, this is going to take just a minute, so bear with me, please. I'm here tonight requesting your immediate attention to Van Park. I would like to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I am one of the few people who were actually born and raised here in Deltona. I have spent my life watching this community grow into what it is today. As a child, I actually played for Deltona Little League. As you can see, I proudly still wear my All-Star shirt. I personally helped bring home champion banners to our city. As we played our hearts out, not just for ourselves, our coaches, and our parents, but for our city of Deltona. We worked extremely hard day in and day out because we were determined to win for Deltona. We took pride in the D on our hats that meant we were Deltona. Fast forward several years, and here I am back at Deltona Little League with my son, coaching my son on the same fields I played on. I volunteer endless hours contributing to the youth of Deltona, hoping I can make a positive difference in their lives. On top of being a coach, I do my best to help out cleaning up the park. It is the most wonderful thing when you're taking the garbage to the dumpster and you look around and you see that even the kids are helping pick up the trash littered throughout our park. Even the children are taking pride in their league. But there are so many things that we cannot do that need to be done. We have went our entire spring season without a scoreboard on our major and minor field. This field has more games than any other field we have, and it's rather embarrassing. Perhaps you do not know how this affects our games. Not having a scoreboard causes confusion during games, which then leads to calling time, which then takes time away from our children's game. There are so many things we need fixed at our park. Just to mention a few: concession stand leaks, constant toilet problems, bathroom doors that do not close, lack of working water fountains. The net is down in the senior field pitching cage. The roof of the bathroom and concession stands are missing several shingles, gates on the fields that do not close. Our fencing is in desperate need of updating. Our t-ball field and dugouts are constantly being flooded. Our playground area needs to be finished, our parking lot needs to be cemented, and we need real field maintenance. Van Park is in dire need of your support. Deltona Little League has been here for 51 years, which makes it the first and longest organized youth sport in Deltona. I remember what a big deal Van Park was when I played for Deltona Little League. I remember how everyone in Deltona came out to our park to support us. And I also remember what a big deal opening day was to our entire city. It seemed like everyone would come to our opening day parade cheering us all on. So much support and so much pride in Deltona Little League. Now fast forward to the present day, and the city actually shut down our opening day parade this year for reasons that are still unclear. Maybe you don't know what you did to all the children of the league that day, but let me tell you, as I was there, having to tell these kids that they could not have their parade was heartbreaking. Many parents drop their children off with their team at the church to decorate their team float. Then they go to Van Park to greet us as we pull in. There are many children who were forced into any vehicle that had room to get them to Van Park. Children were crying and could not understand why this was happening. They were looking up at me with their eyes full of tears, asking me why, but I had no answers for them. All I could do was tell them how sorry I was and try to lift their spirits with the reminder that it's still opening day and we still have our first game to play and a lot of fun to look forward to. This is not the first time I have came to a city hall meeting in support of Deltona Little League, but this is the first time I am speaking out. Something needs to be done. This is an entire league of children who are being affected. This is not for anyone except the youth of Deltona. This is your city. This is the future of your city. You want us to take pride in this city, but how can we do that whenever you don't take pride in your own little league?
Well, okay. Certainly, yeah. Let me just comment on that. Certainly a very heartfelt plea to the city with lots of support in this group. And I will tell you, this meeting hopefully is the beginning, or perhaps the continuation, but improvement, of that link between the city and all of you who are advocates for sports, for parks, for recreation in this community. And I think all of you mentioned in your groups one of the most important things that could happen was to have improved communication. And your story is a good example of how there was no communication about what the groups were expecting and what the city was doing or not doing. So let's hope things are going to turn around. It's never easy. It's never quick enough for all the people who have the needs. but your willingness to come here and share your ideas, the willingness of your elected officials to be here and listen to those ideas, I hope, and I'm just the outside facilitator, but I hope and I believe that it is not for nothing, that it's not in vain, that your words are going to be heard. If the city could do everything that was on these lists, I'm sure they would. Unfortunately, the reality that I think most of you are aware of is priorities have to be selected, but you're the ones who should determine those priorities, and the input that you have provided tonight is a good start, and you need to continue your activism, your engagement, your communication to the city, and hopefully the city is open and willing and will continue to communicate two ways with you about progress and things that can be done, should be done, and will be done. So we're about at the end of our time. Is there anyone who didn't get to say something who would like to?
I would.
Sure.
Hi there. My name is Kurt Collis. I'm the founder of Kurt Collis Tennis Academy and Kurt Collis Tennis for Life. And I came down to Deltona, moved down here when I was 15 and graduated from Trinity Christian Academy, and I played here in Deltona a lot of different sports. I actually, for the school, I played basketball, played baseball, played soccer for the school, and I played at all the parks, and I really enjoyed it. And I actually started playing tennis when I was 19 after I'd graduated from high school, and actually trained to play tennis professionally for 11 years. And actually, I'm on a mission right now to make a positive impact in 10 million lives by building self-esteem in kids and adults, by life coaching through tennis, to empower them with the courage to pursue and really live their dreams. And like in the city here, we have some tennis courts, but they're not really geared for kids under the age of 12. I start working with kids, in addition to teaching tennis in Deltona. I have 4 other locations in Volusia County that I'm running programs for. And I actually start working with kids as young as age 2.5 and 3, getting them started, developing their hand-eye coordination, footwork, and agility to actually play all the sports. I was formerly the director of tennis for the World Tennis Academy out by Disney. I used to train a lot of nationally ranked juniors, aspiring professionals, a lot of international tennis players, but I actually worked with college-level athletes in all other sports too. Basketball, baseball, football, soccer, hockey. So I really have a passion for all the sports, and I want to do anything that I can to help with not just the tennis programs, but really with the baseball. I feel your heart, feel your pain, but also for the football players. And if there's anything that I can do with Kurt Collis Tennis for Life and be a support for all of these other, be a support for the sports, I'm in. So let me know what I can do.
Good. Nice to have a homegrown volunteer. And I know there's a lot of volunteers in this room because you wouldn't be spending the time here tonight, and you certainly wouldn't be spending all the hours and hours that you do helping your kids and helping this community. So anything you want to say, Mayor, to wrap it up?
No, just thank you to everybody. I really appreciate it. A lot of what we heard is good stuff. I think the follow-up meeting after we get the report, because a lot of the things that are requested here are looking for capital problem. It looks like community spoke. We have a good idea now what you're all looking for.
Great.
So city manager's here and taking copious notes over here because we're busy.
Okay. Then the evening is ended. Thank you again. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you very much for all that you do. You do a great job. I'd like to.
Thank you.
You guys
Good.
Brian, good to see you, man.
As always, bro. How you doing?